Melanie always gets the good stuff.
This is my sister Bianca's signature move. Favorite toys, cherished dolls, all taken or broken with those words. Lying to sever bonds with those close to me. Tears to paint me the villain. Causing scenes, creating havoc. Countless misdeeds, too many to list. If things don't go her way, she breaks things, lashes out. Because of this, her parents always demanded patience from me, never seriously addressing Bianca's behavior. I can't help but think this enabled her nature. Bianca seems to relish looking down on me, basking in a sense of superiority. It's almost like she's obsessed with it. So much so, she'd move close to me just for that. Melanie, it's so unfair you got to marry such a wonderful man. Her tactics didn't spare my husband, Peter, a doctor. She seduced Peter in my absence, spun lies to vilify me, and took satisfaction in stealing him away. An old pattern, but Peter's betrayal, his belief in Bianca over me, hurt most of all. I chose divorce in the end. Quit my job and lived far from Bianca. A year after the divorce, Bianca called. I had a baby, so bring a gift. Sure, I'll come with my lawyer husband. What? A lawyer? Bianca hasn't changed. Still looks down on me, seeks to be on top. Willing to hurt anyone, without remorse, to satisfy herself. I can't forgive that. So, to ensure this never happens again, I'll make sure. Claiming damages is my right. I am Melanie, 32 years old, female. I work as a nurse in the internal medicine ward of a general hospital. I attended the university attached to this hospital and got a job here about 10 years ago to have my student loans forgiven. The period for loan forgiveness has ended, and there's no absolute need for me to stay at this hospital. So, I've been thinking maybe it's time to consider changing jobs. The reason is that I have a younger sister, and she started working as a medical clerk at the same hospital. Bianca is 28, 4 years my junior. Ever since we were young, she has always seemed to have the upper hand over me. Ever since we were little, it's always been the same. Bianca always gets away with everything. Every doll or toy I ever had was either taken by Bianca or ended up broken. Moreover, once she realized she could cry and make adults side with her, she'd immediately start crying over anything to make me out to be the bad guy. Bianca looks so innocent that she often seems weaker than me, and that just makes her tactics work all the more. Lying became a frequent tactic of hers too, with her lies often believed by others, putting me in a worse position. It wasn't just once or twice that people who were close to me believed Bianca's lies and drifted away. And her lies were so convincing that many were completely fooled. From my perspective, knowing the truth, it seemed unbelievable that anyone would fall for her stories. Yet they did. Had Bianca turned into a con artist, she could have become a major villain. I suppose I should be glad she got a legitimate job. But sometimes Bianca's plans would backfire, and her parents, or my friends, would realize she was lying. When she judged the situation to be against her, Bianca would just become violent. The moment she felt our parents were on my side, she'd hysterically cry, scream, and throw things around, breaking them. After repeated incidents, our exhausted parents would tell me to be patient because I was the older sister. It was supposed to be a strategy to prevent Bianca's tantrums, but I couldn't accept why I was the one who had to endure and comply with Bianca's whims. So honestly, I still can't feel fondly towards her parents. It was also tough when my friend tried to calm Bianca down. That was when I was in my third year of middle school. A friend who had realized Bianca's true nature said, "You're old enough to know better, aren't you?" I had only said something very appropriate, not even a harsh scolding. But it must have been quite unpleasant for Bianca, because one day she suddenly showed up at that friend's house, and on the doorstep, "I was wrong. Please stop. I won't speak to Melanie or you ever again. Please?" She cried out loudly and sat down, causing a scene. It was, of course, audible to the neighbors, and if you tried to get her to stand up by touching Bianca's arm, "It hurts! Stop!" she would scream. The friend was a very strong person, so they ended up calling the police to intervene. It seemed that the state's authority was needed to finally calm Bianca down. Despite Bianca's behavior not going as planned, she continued to act out without listening to our parents. And for some reason, I ended up being the one getting complaints from them, being told not to provoke Bianca. I was just sincerely sorry for causing any trouble to my friend. There were a few friends who knew Bianca's true nature and always encouraged me. I think it was because of them that I was able to survive in that house. So, I decided to distance myself from Bianca as much as possible. Leaving home was the top priority to maintain that distance. I chose a university affiliated with this hospital far from home, persuaded my parents by explaining that I could get a scholarship that essentially didn't need to be repaid, and successfully moved into a dormitory under the guise of being busy with internships and studies, thereby distancing myself from my family. Since then, I've hardly ever gone back home. I had been leading a busy yet fulfilling life, but starting this year, Bianca ended up working at this hospital. She even came all the way to the nurse's station, saying, "I'm so happy to work with Melanie," with a scheming smile. But such behavior never works with the experienced nurses familiar with the dynamics of female society. Rather suspiciously, I was caught, but this gave me the chance to explain my relationship with Bianca, and was told I could avoid any contact with the administrative department as much as possible. What a relief! I really don't want anything to do with Bianca. You never know what will happen if you make contact, and I don't want my work or personal life to be known. So now I'm seriously thinking about changing jobs. Melanie, are you sure we don't need to have a wedding ceremony? While we were having a quiet dinner at home, my husband Peter, sitting across the dining table, asked, "Yeah, I'm not really interested anyway. But Melanie, you have such a great style. A dress would suit you." "I don't want to stand out." Peter and I got married last month. After dating for about half a year, I accepted his proposal and we got married right away. Peter is a doctor in the same internal medicine ward, 37 years old. With his refreshing smile and kind manner, he's popular among patients and is known for his gentle approach to the nurses as well. Of course, I had a good impression of him from the start, so when he said he wanted to date me, I was a bit over the moon. "Doesn't want to stand out because of the incident with your sister?" I had told Peter everything about Bianca when we decided to get married. I really don't want any contact with her, so I don't want her to know we got married. Peter also doesn't want any contact with Bianca, because you never know what might happen. Peter listened to the story, but he seemed to not understand it very well. He himself has a sister and a brother, being the youngest, and seems to have a very good relationship with his siblings, so he probably can't understand the situation between Bianca and me. Well, yes, but since we work in the same place, maybe you should tell your sister after all. There's no need to tell her, really. But she's your sister. I think she'd be happy. In my heart, I thought the moment she knows, she'd be happy to leave her schemes. So we decided not to have a wedding. The announcement of our marriage was simply made during a meeting with my parents outside, and we've sworn Bianca to secrecy. Knowing Bianca's character, my parents wouldn't mention it to her. From what my parents told me at that time, Bianca had tried to get into the same university as me, but failed due to her grades. Now that she's managed to get a job at the same hospital as me, my parents are a bit worried. But I could see their true relief in wanting nothing to do with Bianca anymore. They're probably relieved that Bianca has moved out to live on her own and started working at this hospital. In the hospital, I don't wear my ring at work and haven't made any special efforts to announce my marriage, so many people are unaware of it. Being a fairly large hospital, there are many staff members I don't recognize, so it's unlikely to become the subject of gossip. That's why it's better if it remains unknown. This is also to protect Peter. Yet despite all this, Melanie? Why? Come on, Melanie, you don't have to hide it. In front of the medical office on the ward, I found Peter and Bianca talking together. Why these two? Peter came all the way to tell me that he got married to Melanie. Despite me saying it wasn't necessary to tell, despite explaining our relationship, despite him knowing what Bianca has done to me. She's so happy. What a cute little sister. We're sisters now, so I'm happy to have a brother. The sight of Bianca looking at Peter gave me chills. In all the time I've talked with Peter, I knew he believed deep down that, since she's a blood-related sister, we can surely get along despite a few misunderstandings. But I never imagined she'd go to such lengths. Melanie, congratulations! Let's go out to eat again soon. I'll treat you to celebrate. Thank you, Bianca said with a smile. looking just like a younger sister blessing her beloved older sister. But I've never gone out to eat with Bianca, and she would never genuinely congratulate me. Even now, she's probably fuming behind that smile. Still, I decided to end the conversation with a non-committal response. I don't want to cause a scene at work, and if others got involved, they could end up as Bianca's victims too. I have work, so I'll be going. I decided to leave. I just don't want to be in the same space as Bianca. Hoping nothing happens, I prayed silently to myself. Months have passed since I married Peter. Lately, something's been off with Peter. He's been distant, in a bad mood. When I was feeling an ominous vibe, a message from Peter arrived on my mobile phone after a night shift. No text, just a photo. The photo showed Peter, shirtless and asleep, on our bedroom bed, with Bianca smiling beside him, her head on his arm. I've been had. That was my first thought. This must be Bianca's way of throwing down the gauntlet, letting me know she's here in our home right now, knowing I'd be finishing my night shift soon. I hurriedly changed and rushed home as fast as I could. They must be there. When I arrived and entered the house, Peter and Bianca were in the living room. At least they were both dressed, but Peter looked pathetically flustered. What are you thinking, Bianca? While Bianca's actions are predictable, her thoughts are always beyond me. This time is no different. I'm sure I won't understand. Only Melanie gets to marry someone so wonderful. That's not fair. Bianca whined in a sweet voice, snuggling up to Peter's arm. Is it always going to be Melanie is always the lucky one? And I thought Peter would be so pitiful if he was being deceived, so I told him. Hearing the word deceived, I instantly realized my bad premonition was spot on. It wasn't the first time this had happened. Melanie, you were always lying about me bullying you, weren't you? You should stop pretending to be so vulnerable. I've always told you that. Bianca lies as if it were the truth. Her ability to deceive without batting an eye is frighteningly quick, worthy of an Academy Award. Melanie, I never thought you were that kind of person, Peter said. Ugh, not this again. Turns out he's just like all the men before him. I feel betrayed by you. That's my line. Oh, what did you say? It seems my murmur wasn't heard by Peter. Really, who does he think is the betrayed one here? Despite me telling him not to tell my sister, without believing me, he believed my sister's lies, falling for my sister's seduction into an affair. Do you both realize what you've done? Peter looked down, troubled by my words, while Bianca acted as if she didn't hear, admiring her nails. This is adultery during marriage, isn't it, Peter? He said nothing in response. Bianca, right? Are you talking about adultery? If so, yes, but Peter said he likes me more because I'm cuter. When asked, she explained without hesitation. Her genius in deceiving people without choosing means is truly remarkable. Impressive. Bianca. Come on, Peter. You said we'd be fine as long as you had Bianca. Peter was panicked, but didn't push away Bianca clinging to his arm. I'm filing for divorce. The moment I said that, I didn't miss Bianca's lips twisting into a bow shape. This must have been her goal. Me marrying a doctor must have been unbearable for her pride, thinking she was better than me. So she took Peter just like snatching a toy, though Peter probably doesn't see it that way. Peter, you're going to work today, right? Come straight home after your shift. I'll need you to sign the divorce papers. Understood. After that, Peter left the house with Bianca, and I headed to the court to get the divorce papers, despite just finishing a night shift, wanting to sleep, upset about this situation, and hurt by the betrayal. You always hear doctors are prone to affairs, but with Bianca of all people. Believing Bianca over me is the most painful and infuriating part. This time, I'm truly exhausted. My heart is tired. I managed to muster the energy to do what needed to be done. And when Peter returned home that night, I greeted him with the divorce papers ready, insisting he sign them immediately. My section was already filled out. He kept saying sorry. Really? But I ignored it all. Not worth listening to. I watched him write slowly, making sure there were no omissions, then snatched the divorce papers away. I'll file these first thing tomorrow. You have 2 weeks to move out. You can go stay with Bianca. Huh? I don't want to see your face, and since your affair is the cause, it's only natural. It's rather generous of me to say 2 weeks is enough. You should be thankful. Saying this, Peter couldn't argue, and I could prepare a new environment while living alone in this house. Now leave. Now? Of course. Come back in 2 weeks, maybe with Bianca. So, I kicked Peter out of the house and immediately blocked calls from Peter and Bianca. After that, I decided to take a shower and go to bed for the time being. I was just tired. I'll be busy from tomorrow, so I should rest well. I submitted the divorce papers to the court first thing in the morning. Then I went to work, used up all my accrued leave, and told them I was resigning. The affair between my husband, Peter, and my sister, Bianca, led to our divorce, and I told HR the whole truth because the emotional damage was too severe for me to stay. I figured this would be enough to ensure they wouldn't ask me to stay. Whatever reputation they have in the hospital doesn't concern me anymore. And while urgently looking for a new house, I decided to devote more energy to my hobby since I had the time. Actually, my hobby is bouldering, and I used to exercise at a bouldering gym where I'm a member at least once a week. Might as well enjoy it to the fullest during my time off. Sweating it out in my free time seemed to clear my head, and I started to think about making those two adults take full responsibility. Because that's only fair. I did nothing wrong, and there's absolutely no reason for me to feel defeated. I'm just exercising my rights. Maybe I should start with a lawyer. As I thought about the future, I climbed up, grabbing one hold after another. A year after the divorce, I got a call from my parents' house on my mobile phone. Wondering what it was about, I answered. Melanie? Hey, and heard Bianca's voice, for the first time in a year. I had a baby, a very cute boy. Oh, and I married Peter, so bring us a celebration gift. I'm at the parents' house right now. Bianca starts ranting unilaterally. Because both Peter and Bianca have blocked my number, they can't contact me directly. So it seems she's resorted to using her parents' home phone to get this message across. She must be delighted thinking she can hurt me by marrying Peter and having a child with him. Demanding a congratulatory gift, without a hint of shame, I sighed at how she hasn't changed one bit. Though, as I sighed, I couldn't help but smile a bit. All right, then I'll also invite Peter. I'll come with my lawyer husband. What? A lawyer? Suddenly, Bianca's voice drops. She doesn't know I've remarried, let alone to a lawyer. How about in 2 weeks? You'll be at your parents', right? Yeah, at my parents'. I'm here for a post-birth homecoming. Mom and Dad don't seem to want me to leave because they're so fond of the baby. Trying to hide her disturbance, Bianca's voice grows louder. She must be frustrated, not knowing I've remarried, especially to a lawyer. She probably thought I was living a lonely life by myself. I'm looking forward to the congratulatory money! With that, Bianca hangs up. Her attitude is as terrible as ever. I wonder how long she can keep this up. By the way, my current husband being a lawyer is true. His name is Oliver. At 36, he's still considered young for a lawyer, but he's exceptionally talented. That's because Oliver and I started dating after I approached him for a legal consultation regarding a compensation claim. Right after my divorce, I visited a law firm known for handling divorce cases. Oliver was the first to respond to me there, and it turns out Oliver and I were using the same bouldering gym. I hadn't noticed, but Oliver had seen me there before. I never imagined that the lawyer handling my case would share the same hobby and use the same bouldering gym as me, so I was genuinely surprised. As we shared this common ground, and he earnestly provided legal advice, my trust and sense of security in him grew. Then, I've always been curious about the serious expression and atmosphere you have when climbing at the bouldering gym. Oliver revealed to me, which led us to start dating, and after a smooth relationship, we got married. Knowing from the beginning about aspects that would typically be the most delicate and problematic, like my not being a first marriage or the circumstances of my divorce, allowed me to feel incredibly happy and protected when getting married. I am nothing but grateful to Oliver for making me feel this happiness. 2 weeks later, as promised, I brought Oliver to visit my family home, where we were greeted by Bianca, beautifully made up. and Peter with a bitter expression. There was also a baby in the crib, who was indeed adorable. Since the baby was being looked after by our mother, we decided to sit face to face in the living room and talk. Nice to meet you. I'm Bianca, her sister. Nice to meet you. I'm Oliver, married to Melanie. Oliver is here as my husband, but his demeanor is all lawyer, suited up with a pleasant smile. You're a lawyer? Yes, that's right. Bianca gazes at Oliver with her signature upturned eyes, but Oliver's smile remains unbroken. When did you and Melanie get married? She didn't tell me anything. About 2 months ago? Oh, so that means it's been over half a year since the divorce. Yes, no problem at all. Did you know that Melanie was divorced? Bianca continued to press Oliver with such questions, despite Peter's awkward expression sitting next to us. Was she under the impression that I had hidden my divorce history from Oliver? Melanie, you brought a celebration gift, right? Perhaps because the conversation wasn't going the way she wanted, Bianca said to me. What was obviously her initial motive seemed only natural for her to bring up, but it couldn't go her way. Here you go. I slid an envelope from my bag across the coffee table towards Bianca and Peter. Bianca quickly grabbed it to check the contents. What is this? Disappointment colored her voice as she pulled out the contents, expecting money but finding something else entirely. Inside was a document for compensation claim against Peter. As stated there, I'm filing for damages against Peter. Now? What are you talking about? Bianca's voice rose in disbelief. It's still valid, isn't it? I responded calmly, having been informed about the statute of limitations when I first consulted Oliver at the law firm, realizing there was still time to file a claim. If you don't have the right opportunity, you can file a claim before the statute of limitations expires, so there's no need to rush. Because your husband is a lawyer? Claiming damages is my right, I asserted, demanding $15,000. Bianca must have been dismayed at the thought of her disposable income decreasing. Let me guess. You were bitter about being dumped by Peter, so should I give him back to you? Bianca, what are you saying? Even Peter couldn't stay silent at her nonsensical outburst. But Bianca didn't care about Peter's feelings. The compensation is for your infidelity, I stated firmly, causing Bianca's mouth to twist uglily. Then give me your lawyer husband. And what about Peter? I'm saying give him back to Melanie. It's unfair you come at me with a lawyer husband. Swap husbands with me. Bianca was serious despite the absurdity of her request, wanting to take something of mine to feel superior. After all, that's what she prioritizes, so even if it's weird in general, it's the most important thing for Bianca, and she's so excited right now that she doesn't even realize how weird her comment is. Oliver, you're not really married to Melanie, are you? After all, Oliver is handsome and must be very popular, right? Bianca tried her usual flirtatious gaze on Oliver, believing it could manipulate any man. I proposed to Melanie. How could I not? She's beautiful, both in appearance and in spirit. Huh! Bianca responded shortly, her flirtatious demeanor disappearing as Oliver, still smiling, waited for her rebuttal. Seeing her silent, I took the opportunity to press further, pulling out another envelope from my bag and spreading its contents across the table. What's this? Bianca gasped, and Peter muttered under his breath. The table was covered in photos of Bianca. All of the photos show Bianca being cozy with men. There are 7 men in total in the pictures. Of course, none of them are Peter. Clearly, Bianca, you've been seeing various men at the same time before and after marrying Peter. What do you mean by that? As if triggered by my words, Peter grabs Bianca's shoulder and confronts her. Ow, that hurts! Stop it! What do you mean, what do I mean? I said it hurts! Wow, I can't believe this. Bianca, whose shoulder was grabbed, scratches Peter's arm with her long nails. Peter probably has never seen Bianca like this before. With a shocked expression, he holds the reddened, worm-like swelling where he was scratched. To me, this is just the beginning for Bianca. Don't mess with me! After all that, you dare to harm me? An angry Peter pushes Bianca, and she falls heavily onto the sofa. I had never seen Peter this rough before, so I was a bit surprised. This side of Peter was never shown when he was with me. Well, it's a side I guess I didn't need to see. Ow! The worst! It's unbelievable to hit a girl! I'll sue you! That's my line. How can you act like that in this situation? Don't touch me! DV! Criminal! Shut up! As I watch the two screaming and grappling from the corner of my eye, I stand up. I don't want to witness this ugly fight. Besides, if things continue to heat up, the damage will only get worse. Bianca will start to act out even more from here. She'll throw anything she can get her hands on, and flail her limbs wildly, hitting and kicking. Perhaps Peter will become even more agitated. Then, leaving this place seems like the best course of action. I don't want to be involved, and I've already done everything I came here to do today. Are we done here? Oliver stood up, and the two of us left the living room. Bianca and Peter were still yelling at each other, creating utter chaos. There's nothing left for us to do here. Well, you're right. Thanks for coming with me. When I thanked him, Oliver flashed me a genuine smile, not his lawyer smile. I love this smile of Oliver's. Let's go home. Yes, let's. When we left my parents' house, Oliver reached out his hand. I took it, matching my stride to his as we started on our way home. After divorcing Peter and deciding to sue him for damages, I hired a detective agency to investigate Bianca's conduct. They primarily looked into Bianca's relationships with men before my divorce, and although it wasn't directly related to my divorce, they also checked her current relationships with men. I thought it best to do everything I could. The goal was to thoroughly crush Bianca and make her never want to deal with me again. Given Bianca's past behavior, it was unimaginable she would seriously date just Peter, whom she wanted to take from me. So I had it investigated just in case. And as expected, or however you want to put it, the investigation over 3 days confirmed she had relationships with 3 different men. I occasionally requested similar investigations afterward, and each time the results confirmed relationships with a total of 7 different men. Some relationships had started before Bianca got married, and some after. According to the detective, if we're talking about the category of men she had relationships with, the number is probably even higher. That's how unrestrained she was. As an adult, I wish Bianca would never repeat the same mistakes again. I had recorded and saved the conversation when Bianca and Peter's affair came to light. I had to do it because otherwise, Bianca would try to escape by lying again. After being deceived over and over, one inevitably learns the pattern. This time, I was furious, so I resorted to such measures because I swore never to forgive Bianca and Peter. Moreover, I notified Bianca in writing that if she behaved similarly again, I would consider filing criminal charges for insults and defamation. No more holding back. That was the declaration of my intent. Some time after, the compensation from Peter was deposited into my bank account. It seems my parents also decided they could no longer let Bianca roam free, so they kept Bianca and the children at their house under strict supervision. At first, I was hesitant about involving the children, but considering everything, it was the best decision for their future. Growing up in such an environment would only harm them. Thus, with the help of my parents, we started preparing to take legal custody of the children. The battle was far from over, but at least for now, I felt a slight sense of victory. Bianca and Peter should live with regret for what they've done. It's a harsh way of thinking, but I can't help but feel that way. As for me, since marrying Oliver, I've taken my time to look for a new job and landed a nursing position at a hospital with good conditions. Even before that, I was working at a private hospital a few days a week, taking it easy, but decided to earn a proper income in preparation for the future. Thanks to taking my time and being meticulous with my job search, I'm able to work under satisfying conditions. The relief of no longer having to deal with Bianca and cutting off relations has filled my days with fulfillment. Not just in terms of my career, but life with Oliver is fun and relaxed. And just as we started to think positively about having children, I found out I was pregnant. Oliver, trembling with joy, bought loads of pregnancy and parenting magazines and read them all. He's becoming more knowledgeable about pregnancy life than me, the pregnant one. Just the other day, he bought a thick book on naming, and I couldn't help but laugh. Being able to spend each day with a smile makes me truly happy. I want to keep living with a smile forever. No, I'm sure even happier and more enjoyable days are waiting for us.